As a person who studied marketing, I love me a good trailer. Cinematic game trailers have been setting the tone for games for decades now, and despite the fact that E3 is no more, we can still enjoy trailers when they pop up on social media. We do still have the Game Awards for that, or things like Nintendo Direct and PlayStation Showcase, but I still prefer listening to an entire room of sweaty gamers react to the unpredictability of what's coming in the moment. I know there are probably a lot of games out there with incredible trailers that are not in this video. These are just some of my personal favorites, so calm down, maybe there'll be another video and your favorite one will be in it. Also, just a note, I won't be showing the full trailers because I think there'd be some copyright issues, so I'll link them in the description for you and show clips on screen. Dead Island was a game about zombies on an island, and it was a fun game with some memorable characters. Its trailer, however, is what I would describe as a modern masterpiece, but I feel like the tone it set might have been a bit too misleading because the story it tells is not really close to the story of the game. Essentially, in Dead Island, you're one of 4 charismatic survivors trying to make a way off a holiday paradise full of zombies. The trailer, however, tells the story of a family on holiday that gets ripped apart in the most brutal way. What the trailer does great is the visual storytelling that is used more as a way to explain the setting rather than the actual story you'll experience. The trailer essentially is split into 2 parts, with the first part being a dead zombie girl that goes in reverse, with the second part being the events that led up to what happens in the first part. The soundtrack is sort of a sad instrumental composed to set the tone even before you know what's going on, and what's great is how seamless the 2 parts of the trailer mix together in a symphony of violence and sadness. While I mentioned it might oversell the actual story, the trailer is actually great at setting the stage for what's coming, gameplay-wise, by showing the zombies, the island, the post-apocalyptic atmosphere of places recently lived in, as well as the handiness of using whatever is at your disposal to protect yourself. For example, as the fire axe, kitchen knife, and hotel room as a safe place of sorts. I personally think this is one of the best trailers ever made, and it worked perfectly by creating a ton of hype, which was also helped along by the zombie genre being at its peak at the time it was released. I Am Alive is a game you probably haven't heard of. The trailer actually went viral in whatever way the definition of viral was in 2008, and it always just stuck with me. The game itself got mediocre reviews at launch, and I actually never got around to play it. I completely forgot about the game a while after the trailer released, and that's because the trailer released in 2008 and the game didn't release until 2012. Anyways, the trailer follows the protagonist who is running in the ruins of a major city while being chased by men. They catch up to him, and instead of fighting them, he throws a water bottle, which eventually leads to chaos. We then see the man emerge from the ruins to look at the massive ruined city, and then we have a flashback to the events that led up to this. I really enjoyed this trailer because it set the mood perfectly by showing the decay of humanity and civilians in a post-apocalyptic world, while conveying the importance of resources like water, and it gives away everything you really need to be interested in the story. And it even shows the backstory briefly in the end of the trailer as well. And I think it's a shame that the trailer was released so early before the game, because I'm sure it would have been way more popular if it came out while the hype was still going. Hitman Absolution was the long-awaited Hitman game that came after Hitman Blood Money. I'm not a big fan of stealth games myself, but I do think the Hitman series is great, and just because the developers are Danish, I feel kind of the national pride that a game made in my tiny country is so popular. Shut up, Sweden. Anyways, Hitman was back with Absolution in 2012, and with that came some amazing trailers to hype up the game, and hype up the game they sure did. I actually picked 2 trailers for this one just because they're both incredible in their own ways. The main trailer is great because it shows some vague story elements by cutting between a female character from the game and Hitman trying to reach her by assassinating a bunch of hired guns. I think it's great because it's entertaining and it shows all the creative ways you can assassinate people in the game, and it's just beautifully animated. The other trailer I want to show from Absolution is the Attack of the Saints trailer, which shows Hitman facing off with a bunch of aggressive gun-wielding nuns. It's great, it's quirky, it's bloody and action-driven, and it's just plain fun to watch. I do think it might sell Hitman as a bit too much of an action-oriented game, because the main point of the game is still to be as stealthy as possible, which it definitely isn't being here. But I still love the trailer, and it is very memorable to anyone who's seen it. Say what you want about Blizzard and their work on World of Warcraft, their cinematic team always delivers an amazing and incredible product. The fact that they made the Warcraft movie live action and didn't fully animate it in-house is a mystery to me, because they make the best cinematic animations of anyone. One of, if not the most iconic cinematic trailer from World of Warcraft is the Wrath of the Lich King cinematic trailer that to this day brings chills to any WoW fan. The trailer features Arthas Menethil, who is already established in the Warcraft series, so the sight of him instantly gave any Warcraft fan a big smile on their face. It is a relatively simple trailer with a voiceover that tells the story to come in the expansion, with the Dragons and Death Knight class being the major selling point. It is also just so beautifully animated it, I can't believe it was done 15 years ago. And I just know that people playing the game back then couldn't wait to unlock the raid to fight him. Bioshock is up there as one of the best single player games I've ever played. I loved the gameplay and I loved the story, and normally I'm not that into horror, so I had a tough time playing Bioshock, and even though it's not that conventionally scary, that's how bad I am at horror stuff. But I still played it all the way through and loved every second of it when I wasn't actually walking around an abandoned city underwater. The trailer itself is amazing at setting up the story by showing a Jules Verne-esque underwater city reminiscent of major cities from the 50s and 60s. It is also narrated through an old-timey voice recording, which is also something that is prevalent in the game. It proceeds to show off some of the combat systems like melee combat and the plasmids that allow the players to use superpowers. And lastly, it shows several enemies from the game like Big Daddy and Little Sisters, as well as just a gory and horrific setting. It also ends off by showing the relationship starting between the Big Daddy and Little Sister, foreshadowing the enemies to come. And yeah, I don't know who would want to play after watching that. Yeah, both Dead Island games have to be in this video because Dead Island 2's trailer is so creative, funny and gory that it deserves to be here. Its tone is about as far away from Dead Island 1's trailer, so I have to commend them for coming up with something so creative and brilliant while staying away from the successful formula they had with their first trailer. Even though Dead Island 2 was in development for way too long, I think part of what kept the hype going was the trailer. I mean, the trailer is from 2014 and it somehow sold us on yet another zombie game even though we're in 2023 now. The trailer shows a self-confident runner who is going for a run down the beachside, and it features a funky rap song called The Bomb, which the runner turns on before putting his earphones in. He then proceeds to hide a scar he presumably got earlier from being bitten by an infected, and he starts running. The way the trailer descends into madness while showing the runner slowly decaying and becoming a living dead is genius, all while showing the chaos of everyone around him. It's a clever and funny trailer that ends off with some survivors who open their car to loot the runner for his shoes, which is a pretty funny note to end on. And it also just conveys how the entire gameplay is going to be, with killing zombies, looting and just running around a post-apocalyptic Los Angeles. Dark Souls is one of my favorite games of all time and a game I think everyone should try to beat at least once. While the trailer is mainly done with what I assume is the in-game engine, and it has kind of a quirky editing that I think almost I could do myself, it's really good at conveying the large variety of enemies, monsters and horrific things you'll experience while playing the game. It even has the coveted "prepare to die" catchphrase, which is so fitting for the game because that's what you do most of the time, in the beginning at least. And I think what makes Dark Souls great is that the only thing determining the difficulty is how you play, how you choose to build your character, and also how much you're willing to either grind or learn mechanics. It's an incredible thing to journey through a Soulsborne game, and this trailer just really gives that vibe away and shows just how big the world is. That's it for me. Thanks for watching and I hope you enjoyed it. Please consider liking, subscribing and let me know in the comments what your favorite game trailer is. Bye bye.